Welcome to The Explainer. So, have you ever watched a multi-million-dollar corporate project completely crash and burn despite having the absolute best technology available? It's incredibly frustrating, right? And the crazy part is, it happens literally every single day. Today, we're going to bridge the gap between pristine textbook management theories and the messy, unpredictable reality of actually executing them in the wild. We're taking a fascinating deep dive look at the intersection of process engineering and project management to see why some initiatives soar while others just hit a total brick wall. Okay, let's dive right into this massive question. Organizations pour hundreds of millions of dollars into AI and intelligent automation every year, yet the failure rate is absolutely staggering. Why? Well, because the answer usually isn't the technology failing us, it's human nature. We naturally want a quick, flashy tech fix, so we blindly try to optimize fundamentally broken systems. We throw state-of-the-art tech at a chaotic workflow and expect magic. But, you can't just buy a software license and expect it to untangle decades of bad habits and poor communication. Section 1, the blueprint and the build. To truly understand execution, we first need to distinguish between the architecture, process engineering, and the act of actually pouring the concrete, which is project management. People often confuse process improvement with process design. Think of it like a house. Improving a process, that's really just rearranging the furniture. Process design, however, starts with a completely blank slate. It's asking the family how they actually live before you even pour the foundation. So the crucial point is that true process design centers completely on what we call the voice of the customer, ensuring we build what's actually needed from scratch. You're translating vague expectations into concrete, actionable requirements before a single dollar is spent. When it comes to the actual build phase, we rely on a work breakdown structure. This brilliantly illustrates how large, intimidating project goals are sliced into manageable, dependent pieces. Think about building a new scheduling application. You don't just say, "Hey, build the app." You start at the top with the final deliverable, identify major requirements, break those into tasks, and establish a strict execution sequence. Lower-level tasks feed directly into the ones above them, creating a completely foolproof roadmap. Now, project management theories usually pit the strict sequential waterfall method directly against the highly adaptable agile approach. Waterfall expects you to know every single step right up front. It's highly predictable, but man, is it rigid. Agile, on the other hand, assumes you're going to learn as you go, prioritizing rapid feedback and iteration. Understanding this contrast matters immensely, because choosing the wrong framework for your specific team is exactly why so many projects hit a massive wall right around month 3. Section 2, the illusion of the map. But here's where textbook theory hits the real world. Standard process maps and project charters often lie to us, or at least they leave out the messy truths. This quote right here is arguably the most vital takeaway for any tech implementation. If you don't map out the system's actual constraints properly from the very beginning, you'll end up falling into the common trap of over-automating a terrible workflow. Remember, doing the wrong thing faster is not optimization. It just creates a bigger mess at a much higher speed. The problem is, a basic process map is incredibly limited. Sure, it tells you the sequence of events and decision points, but it completely misses the hidden, granular delays that actually kill a project's momentum. It completely fails to show task duration, it hides idle queue times, and it totally ignores behavioral friction. Basically, the human element, like procrastination or someone being on vacation. Maps completely hide the days a file sits totally untouched in an inbox. Section 3, diagnosing hidden delays. Let's move past the map to dissect time and accountability with a more surgical approach. Now, what's really interesting about this treatment center example is looking at the difference between work being done and time passing. The actual work, known as cycle time, is just a 45-minute intake interview. But the lead time, the total time from the initial referral to actually getting placed, stretches to a massive 3 weeks. That is a gigantic discrepancy. That massive gap exposes what we call the delay metric. It proves that the real bottleneck isn't the work itself. I mean, the staff is happily finishing the interview in under an hour. The real constraint is the file sitting dormant on a supervisor's desk, waiting for a signature, approval, or handoff. Think about the sheer absurdity here. If you just bought fancy software to automate the 45-minute interview, you wouldn't solve the 3-week wait time at all. You'd literally just hurry up and wait. So how do we actually fix this? We rely on a tactical tool known as a RACI chart to enforce absolute accountability at every single step. Responsible, accountable, consulted, and informed.
In highly regulated environments, you simply can't just hope someone will do the work. This matrix eliminates that age-old, "I thought someone else was doing it" excuse. Assigning exact, inescapable ownership is what finally gets things moving.
Section 4. The Water Scrumfall Reality. Dispelling the myth that you have to choose between strict methodologies brings us to how highly regulated environments actually get things done. The truth is, you rarely see pure agile outside of fast-moving tech startups, and pure waterfall is just too rigid. So modern business demands this unorthodox hybrid solution, often called water scrum fall, to survive red tape. It perfectly combines a rigid planning framework with iterative, flexible execution. Think of it like a hybrid engine. You use the traditional waterfall shell to keep leadership and compliance happy, securing budgets, setting legal compliance, and defining those hard final deadlines. But your team works inside that timeline using an agile core. They execute in sprints, iterate via feedback, and pilot features early. It's an incredibly clever workaround for getting things done without breaking the rules. This hybrid setup is also a phenomenal defense mechanism against scope creep. That uncontrolled expansion of project scope without any adjustments to time, cost, or resources. When a stakeholder casually asks for just one more feature halfway through, you use the formal documentation of the waterfall shell to push back. It empowers you to require a formal change request that outlines exactly what that shiny new feature will cost them. Suddenly, that one more feature doesn't seem quite so urgent. Section 5, where projects and processes collide. Let's bring this all together to see how the architecture of process design and the construction phase of project management are permanently intertwined. You simply cannot optimize a workflow without project managing the rollout, and you can't run a project efficiently without standardizing its internal mechanisms. Mastery requires you to handle the tension between the cold, analytical rigor of system data and the highly nuanced, human-centric coordination of managing real people. And remember, optimization is a continuous evolutionary cycle, not just a one-time event. As you look at your own organizational bottlenecks today, I want to leave you with a final question to challenge how you approach your next big initiative. Before you kick off your next project or invest millions in AI, ask yourself, are you just putting a fresh coat of paint on a fundamentally broken foundation, or are you actually willing to do the hard work of engineering a completely new, vastly better system? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer today. I genuinely hope it changes how you look at your workflows.